Hello everyone, what's up and welcome back to another video. It's not a vlog, it's a video, Natasha. Anyway, I hope you are all doing well. I hope you're having a great day. Anyway, today I will be talking about all the books that I read in January. Yes, I know it's a bit late, but you know, some things just happen. At least you're getting a wrap up, you know. So, with that being said, before we get started, please remember to like the video, subscribe, and comment down below either how many books you read in January or what was your highlight for that month. And without any further ado, let's just jump right into the video. So the first book I read, which was also my favorite of the month, was Dance of Stars and Ashes by Nisha Tuli, and this was an ARC I received from the author and I gave it 5 stars. Now because this is the second book in the Nightfire Quartet, I'm going to tell you a bit more about the first book, which is Heart of Night and Fire. So basically we follow our wow, I just wanted to mash those words together. Our female main character, there we go, Zoria, and she has been captured by Ro, and she has been living in the sea cottage for her whole life. And basically what happens is whenever she tries to cross the border where he put up wards, she faints and he has to take her back to the cottage. One day he disappears and she sets off to find her own adventure. She comes across a magical city and she's also starting to be plagued by this mysterious morally grey kind of character, and she meets a whole lot of other magical beings. Now for the girlies and the guys who like slow burn, I would definitely suggest picking up this book. It is also South Asian inspired, so if you're looking for a flair of different culture, I would really, again, suggest picking this book up. There's so much going on about the culture and the food and the clothes, and wow, it's just, I can't praise this book enough. It also has very beautiful writing that it just encapsulates you from the start. I couldn't put this book down the minute I started it, so yeah, hence why it's my favorite. The second book is Queen of None by Natania Barron, and this is an ARC I received via NetCali from the publisher, and this book I gave 4 stars. Now what this book is about, it's about Anna Pendragon. This book is about Anna Pendragon, and the moment she was born, the wizard Merlin pronounced a prophecy over her which said, "Through all the ages and in the hearts of men, you will be forgotten." Anna leads a difficult life up until the age of 12, where she's married all for alliance purposes to a very old man. She becomes the mother of 3, and then one day her husband mysteriously dies, and she is then sent back to Arthur to basically give him the crown of her late husband. And what transpires is she discovers that Merlin has been whispering in a lot of nobles' ears and has been trying to influence a lot of them. So she vows to take action and she vows to seek revenge for everyone in the castle that he has wronged. The first thing I have to note is that this book is beautifully written. It really highlights the fact that women take their own fate into their own hands, and it also highlights of what the mother will do to keep her family safe. The writing is also captivating. It made me fall in love with the Pendragons all over again. I started getting to know the Arthurian lore around the time when the Adventures of Merlin came through. So I have to admit that reading about Merlin being this very evil guy kind of didn't sit well with me, but the story itself was just amazing, and I know it's part of a trilogy, so I am excited to see how this is going to develop. I believe the next books center around Arthur's half-sisters, Morgana and another one, I can't remember who. And there were also so many twists and turns around the corner that I didn't even care that the chapters were severely long, so it kept you hooked. That's what I was trying to say. The next book I read was Alice in Wonderland, but the Tim Burton movie one, and it is part of my collection in my 24 books to read for 2024. And I also gave this book 4 stars. We first follow Alice when she's very young and she's having these nightmares about Wonderland, but she doesn't know it's Wonderland. And her father soothes her every night and tells her stories about adventures that he likes to go on and all that kind of stuff. Then we follow her a few years later. Her father has passed away and she's this aloof kind of girl, but she still keeps thinking about Wonderland. And then on the day that she is asked to be married to this guy she doesn't really like, she sees a rabbit in a waistcoat, I believe, and she leaves him in the proposal position and she's like, "Peace, I'm gonna go." And throughout her adventure in Wonderland, she keeps on thinking that she's dreaming and this is a wild dream, and no matter what happens in here, she's going to wake up. And it's a fun kind of little book. You know, if you want to read something light and you're not in the mood for the movie, I would suggest pick this book up, because it's basically the movie, but wordy, you know. The next book is an audio I listened to on Everand. This was Witches of New Orleans by Brigette Delery. This book is basically 5 short stories about 5 witches from New Orleans and their affinity, or their magical system they have, and how they end up finding love through using their magic. And it was an interesting read. I wouldn't say it struck me a lot. I think I just needed something to get my mind off a very difficult day at work, so I put this on. It was cute. I won't say I enjoyed it, I liked it, but I'm going to forget about it in a few months' time, so that's that. Then the next book I read was House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is a reread, and I gave it 5 stars. Now, if you're not familiar with this book, what's wrong with you? But anyway, in this book we follow Bryce Quinlan, and she has been partying by night, she's working by day, and she's just living her best life in Crescent City, obviously, because, you know. And then one day when she gets back home, she discovers that her best friends have been murdered. And the person responsible for their deaths is captured and sent to prison. And a year later, while this man is still in prison, the killings start again. And she is then grouped together with an archangel called Hunt Athalor, and they are determined to find what is happening in Crescent City before it spills over and becomes disastrous. What else? I don't know what else to say about this book other than the fact that I enjoyed it. I enjoy an urban fantasy, and when it's this thick, I thrive for it. And the slow burn, yeah, it was good. I like it. I just love this book. Yeah, it's just a feeling of welcoming when you reread books. So the next I haven't seen the next bent I booked. The next book I read was Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, and this is the second book in the Alex Stern series, and I gave this book 5 stars. This is also a buddy read with my best friend over on Instagram, and because this is the second book, I'll tell you a bit about Ninth House if you have been living under a rock, or if you are not into dark academia / fantasy / this kind of reads. So Ninth House follows Alex Galaxy Stern, and she has this one opportunity to turn her life around after being the sole survivor of a mysterious mass murder. And the only downside is she has to become like part of Leigh in Yale, a secret society that polices 9 other secret societies in Yale. While she studies, she must also be the understudy of Darlington, who is like the golden boy of Leigh. But when a series of murder happens and Darlington disappears, she decides that she's going to grab her own band of misfits to try and solve these murders. And what transpires is just wild things. I mean, dark, wild things. Just prepare yourself and read trigger warnings when you read this book, because wow, it's wild. But I really like the story. I won't say I'm in my dark academia era. I'm more of I enjoy the world we are living in, and I enjoy something that's sprinkled with fantasy. And if it's wild, I enjoy it even more. So I really adored this book from start to finish, and the fact that I think it was made better when I read it with my bestie, because if I read it on my own, I would have been like, it's okay. But now we have someone to rave over, and it's Darlington, so you know. But yeah, I did enjoy this book, and something that also struck for me is Alex's spunk. It kind of originates in the first book, and then it just increases in the second book, and it's funny. She's hilarious. I strive to be like her in some sense. So yeah, it was a very enjoyable book for me. Then I also read Fathomfolk by Eliza Chan, and this was an arc I received via NetGalley, and I also gave it 5 stars. So basically, Fathomfolk is about a group of Fathomfolk who are basically consisting out of mermaids, sirens, any kind of sea creature that you can think of, versus humans. The humans are, what is the word I'm looking for? There's a word I'm looking for. The humans are ruling the Fathomfolk. Even though they have this treaty signed that the Fathomfolk and the human will be working together, things just escalate, and the humans are scared that the Fathomfolk will, in a sense, destroy them. So on the island that they are staying, Tian Kawi, they are then suppressed. That is the word I was looking for. The humans suppress the Fathomfolk. And we follow 3 main characters. One character whose name is Mira, who is trying her utmost best to try and bring the humans and the Fathomfolk together through being a border control police officer kind of thing. She's trying to, just bring them together and show that they are not really different. One just has skills, one doesn't. Then we get Nami, who is a dragon princess and who has been exiled to Tiankawi. She joins the anti-human extremist group in order to try and bring back the rights of the Fathomfolk, but it backfires in her face. And then we also get Serena, who has ties with both the Fathomfolk and the humans, and she's trying to play these two constantly together, and it's crazy. What I liked about this book is it's also South Asian inspired, and I really adored this book. It had so many action-packed scenes, and there were these points in time where I was just like, I need to know what's going to happen. The ending as well was such a cliffhanger ending that I was like, I need the next book now. And Fathomfolk only comes out on the 29th, so it's great. Anyway, so there was just a point in time in the middle where I think for me I got bored because I just felt like I wanted to get to the end. That was a me problem, that's not the book's problem. And then secondly, if you don't like naive characters, I think you will be struggling, because Nami is a very naive character and she tries but she fails constantly. So Mira I liked because she has the sense of power around her even though she doesn't know it. And Serena I just liked a lot. But if you want my full thoughts, you can go check out my vlog that I'll have linked down below. The next two books were rereads, and because they fall in the same series, I'm just gonna name both of them, but both of them I gave 5 stars. Yeah, first one was the Atlas 6 and the second one was the Atlas Paradox. The Atlas 6 follows 6 medians, or what they call magicians, and they are asked to join the Alexandrian Society to bring forth their magical abilities. But the kicker is there will only be 5 left at the end of the year once they contributed towards the society. And we basically follow a struggling year with 6 of these candidates who are just trying to secure their spot in the Alexandrian Society. It is also dark academia, so if it's not your forte, I would suggest not reading this book basically, or the series. Don't ask me who's my favorite character because I can't tell. I don't like Gideon's mother, but that's a given. She's not there to be liked. But there's also a lot of confusing things happening. The writing style is very difficult to get into, but once you get to know how Olivia Blake writes, have fun with it. And the last book I read was Angelfyre by Lydan Francis, and this book I gave 4 stars. What this book is basically about is it centers around the 25th century, where humans have basically made hybrids with other alien species, and these hybrids are called Falsions, and they can be known by their very bright orbit-like eyes. They are kind of the runs of society in the 25th century because nobody really likes them. So what they end up doing is they just end up floating around in society until they die, until we get Casey, who is a Falsion, and she discovers this very great piece of technology and decides to help out with the war brewing around their planets. But little does she know that even through the help of her new technological companion, they're going to cause havoc across the universe. The first 50% of the book I really enjoyed. The only downside I think for me was the dialogue. There was so much dialogue. Nothing was explained to you, everything was told through dialogue. And then there were these jumps in between a dialogue that explains to you a bit about the Falsions, or explains to you a bit about the different kinds of alien species. And I was like, this is such a weird way to explain it. I am aware that it's a space opera, and I haven't really read a lot of space operas to be like, this is my groundwork and this is where I go from there. But it was just so jarring to read. There were also a lot of, how can I say, technical things happening in the book that I really didn't care about. There was this point in time where this character tells Casey about the makings of a spaceship, and I was like, I'm bored to death, I don't care. It's not like I'm going to remake the spaceship because I don't even know half of the ingredients that has been shoved into the spaceship. So that was the only downside for me. But what I can say is it was a very nice introduction to a series, and it was a very nice introduction to the genre. So if by some chance paragraphs of dialogue doesn't bother you and you really want to get into the sci-fi / space opera themed kind of feel, maybe pick this book up. It is free on Kindle Unlimited. So those are the books that I read. I read a total of 11 books, and yeah, that was awesome. An awesome January. I think that is the quickest I've summed up my books. But I really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in okay. I'll see you guys in the video next week. Bye.